But then the fan favorite is aliens. So
Aliens. I wondered if we were going in that
yes.
direction.
So
The Late Night Legends podcast is meant for a mature audience. Topics covered may be violent or sexual in nature and are not suitable for sensitive listeners. Please be aware of your surroundings. For specific trigger warnings, please see the episode's show notes. Testimony shared by guests of this show are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Late Night Legends hosts or staff. This podcast and any linked materials should not be considered medical or professional advice, nor is the information a substitute for the expertise or treatment from a professional. Listener discretion is advised.
Watch out.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to the most interesting podcast on the interwebs, Late Night Legends. We're glad to have you with us tonight. We've got another great show. Maria's going to go and talk about the Battle of Los Angeles. But before that, I'm going to turn it over to Kay for some news.
We are so excited for our topic next week, as well as our topic tonight. But next week, we're going to be doing Ghosts and Gossip Part 2. So if you enjoyed Part 1, definitely tune back in. We're going to be doing an update from what we talked about last time. Jacqueline Nunez, did she show up for court last week? You're going to have to find out next week, as well as another story that has been unfolding in the paranormal atmosphere. We're pretty excited to tell you about that one. The next week on May 12th, we are going to be doing a collaboration with another podcast. Maybe it's spiritual. They've been on our show before, and we're going to be talking about haunted theme parks. And then a week after that, on the 19th, Colin is going to be talking about Old Stinker and other creatures from Europe. So if we have nothing else, we can go ahead and pass it on over to Maria so we can start talking about the Battle of Los Angeles.
all right. So many people might think of Battle of Los Angeles they might think of the movie that was I don't remember when it came out, but
it's like 10
yeah,
years ago or so. Yeah, it was
I
not a
haven't
great
seen
film. Don't waste the money.
But this did happen back in 1942 on February 23rd, and this was during the time of World War II. And in California, they were mostly worried about Japanese attacks. And so on this day of February 23rd, a Japanese I-17 submarine reached the channel near Santa Barbara, and it got pretty close to Elwood oil field, which is also Elwood Beach area. And it rose up from the water and it shot about like 16 shells towards the beach. And it just sank back underwater and disappeared, ran away. And so this raised a lot of people's concerns because they're already thinking about Pearl Harbor and they're thinking that now they reached U.S. territory, and so a greater attack might be coming their way. But since Pearl Harbor, the military had started doing a lot of preparations for the possibility of an imminent attack. And so for the city of LA and its surrounding areas, what they would do was do blackouts, and they would do routine drills involving sirens and searchlights during these blackouts. So the people, they were pretty much used to just the entire city going dark and then just loud sirens and seeing searchlights up in the sky. But following this attack, basically, the people of like the army and stuff, they said that there might be an attack coming in like the next 10 hours. So for the rest of that day, the people were just preparing for an actual attack. And following that time, on the 24th of 1942, Santa Barbara had naval intelligence that issued a warning, and there was a report of an attack coming in, and the air raid sirens started blasting. And this was around 7:18 p.m. And while this was happening, reports came in of flares and blinking lights near the city's defense plants. So everyone thought, okay, it's happening, we're getting attacked. And the air wardens, they took their post throughout LA County, and they assisted on the lookout. This alert, it was lifted around like 10:23 because they didn't see anything. And so the citizens went back to settle down, and much to their dismay, though, the sirens came back up around 2:15 a.m. And so everyone woke up and went back to their posts, and they prepared again. And this was because the newly developed radar technology had picked up signals of an unidentified target that was like 120 miles west of LA. And so this was coming from the ocean. So they were thinking it was probably either submarines again, or fighter jets or planes coming in. So anti-aircraft batteries were put on green and ready to fire. So these were all those big guns, I guess, that are like on the coast.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone was just waiting for an attack. And they stayed watching the sky and the radar for a good while. And around 2:21 a.m., the regional controller ordered a blackout throughout the city. And this is where the searchlights went up, and they were just searching the sky. But the Air Force, they kept their fighter planes grounded until further intel. So just keep that in mind. Like, there were no planes or anything, at least from U.S. territory, up in the sky. And the radar at that point, it could no longer detect whatever object or craft it was picking up. But reports were still coming in, and many people were stating to see multiple enemy planes. A lot of like higher ups, they were saying that they were seeing like up to 16 fighter jets up in the sky, but there was really no concrete evidence of this. And around 3:06 a.m., someone spotted a balloon with a red flare over Santa Monica. So this was pretty much like their last straw, and it was enough for them to just start opening fire. And so more than 1,440 rounds were launched into the air in like the span of 3 hours. So they saw a balloon with a flare, and they just started shooting anywhere they could think of it up at the sky.
That's my reaction to balloons every time.
Yeah.
I know if you're in the right state to get away with that, Colin.
I'm not, but I know a guy that has way too many guns, and I could probably pin it on him.
So yeah, you can imagine, just it's pitch black throughout the entire city, reaching into like other parts, like other cities, and you just hear sirens, there's lights up in the sky, and just a bunch of batteries like going at it. And so this caused a lot of chaos throughout the city. And basically there were like car crashes, people running around, getting hurt. Most of them were the people working the batteries. And despite this, there was no evidence of an aircraft being hit, and no enemy bomb was ever dropped into the city that night. So like I said, there were a lot of accidents. 5 civilians passed away. Three of those were from the car crashes, and two were from heart attacks from just the chaos. Yeah.
Just
crazy.
scared them to
Mhm.
death, quite literally.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Oh,
And a
no.
lot of the other ones were just broken legs, sprained ankles. And one of the people, like, he bonked his head, like, running down the stairs. So yeah, I don't know, it's kind of tragic, but also like funny picturing people just running around, shooting at a balloon. But
Yeah.
so this after everything happened, like they stopped, and reports started blaming the Japanese and saying that it was like it was for sure Japanese planes, and they were just trying to say that like they weren't just shooting at nothing. But after the war, Japan did confirm that there was no planes in that area that night, at least from them. And this kind of resulted in an embarrassment for just the US forces. And so people started blaming the higher ups, like this colonel told us to do this, or like they gave us these orders. And so that's why we did this. Um, and a lot of people just said like they were just very nervous. And so if anything happened, they were just gonna pop and do what needed to be done. So a lot of theories did come from this. Mostly it was the army just trying to calm everyone's nerves and saying that it was probably commercial aircrafts that were caught on the radar. Possibly some aircrafts that were like operated by enemies, and they might have come from like secret airfields in California or Mexico or maybe even Japan. But again, this is later confirmed to be less likely. Others speculated that the radar picked up birds or just any other object in the sky. Because the way that they were testing radar, they used like balloons with wires, and it was able to pick that up. So they were thinking maybe it just picked up birds as well. And at that time, it was still very new technology. Sorry. Hmm. Um, Even though like people still claimed to see a lot of planes in the sky. So another theory, which is the most common amongst like people explaining things away, was weather balloons. So they were saying, okay, you saw something shiny in the sky that looks like a plane. Maybe it was just a weather balloon, and those are really big. So it kind of makes sense. And these were actually commonly released out in California during this time as well. So it is a high possibility. But then the fan favorite is aliens. So
Aliens. I wondered if we were going in that
yes.
direction.
So yeah, nothing was seen in the sky, but the radar was picking up something. And later they did see that balloon with a flare, but it was spotted in Santa Monica, and the radar was picking it up more towards like the LA area. So, and it wasn't, it was just in the span of like a night and like a couple hours. So could that balloon have like flown all the way back to Santa Barbara in that time frame, or like was the radar picking up something else and then they just connected it to this balloon? So yeah, it could have been just aliens just coming down, popping in, seeing what we were doing, and then seeing the guns, and they're like, okay, we're out.
Yeah, they wanted to go to Hollywood.
Yeah, so this theory mainly comes from a doctored image that was published by the Los Angeles Times. And they basically took a picture of the searchlights all connecting together up in the sky, and in the middle they kind of edited a little aircraft that looks kind of like a UFO. And yeah, it is proven that that image was doctored, but at the same time, like, who is to say that, you know, they were visited by something?
Just a little bit of clickbait to sell some
Yeah.
newspapers.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
No harm, no foul.
And then interestingly enough, a few years later in 1947, That's where debris, like something crashed near Roswell in New Mexico. And it was first believed to be a flying saucer, but it was later confirmed to be a Project Mogul spy balloon. But the theory of it being a flying saucer or a UFO was actually pushed so that so that the government wouldn't like confirm that they are spying on other people with these balloons. So they kind of like fed the people this theory of aliens and stuff just so that they could cover up other things that they were doing.
Yeah.
We're not spying on you. It's alien.
Or could they be saying that they are spying on people, covering it up with aliens, but in reality, it really is aliens? Who knows? Double plot
Yeah.
twist. But yeah, ever since then, the Roswell area has been an area of speculation and conspiracy alongside Area 51, because it is similar in how like secretive they are in what they're doing in there, and many question what kind of experiments take place there, possibly involving the extraterrestrials. And one of the first UFO sightings also occurred that same year in June 24, in 1947. And it was by a private pilot, Kenneth Arnold, and he claimed to have seen 9 shiny high-speed objects. And this was, I believe, more near like the East Coast area. But all of these like things in the sky popping up around the same time is kind of interesting. And this is kind of where the whole UFO flying saucer craze kind of began, at least in the US. So yeah, do you guys think that like it was aliens what they saw that first night with the Battle of Los Angeles, or just jitters, wartime jitters?
Yeah, I'm thinking just jitters, just trigger happy, and when you got a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So
Yeah, everybody's probably on edge with everything that was going on, and so first person jumps, and then everybody's kind of like, yeah.
Whenever I think that planes of the enemy are over my house, my first reaction is to go outside and shoot at them. So that really resonates with me. But I have a question. So I know the Japanese denied having any aircraft, but the submarine strike, did they confirm they did
Yes. It was confirmed.
that? Okay.
And
I actually know a funny story about that when you're done, Maria.
okay. Yeah, it's the one. It was the I-17 submarine. And yeah, it was confirmed that it was them, and I believe that was like one of their like main submarine types that they would use.
Okay. Because there's a lot going on recently about how some people from the Navy are now saying that aliens are actually in our oceans. I'm like, did they just come up and like pew pew a couple times, or? But it sounds like the Japanese actually took credit for it, so.
Or maybe the aliens took over that submarine and came.
Maybe they did.
Yeah.
Maybe it was aliens the whole time, and
Maybe
the Japanese were like,
aliens.
Oh,
yeah,
there
I
you
did.
go. There you go.
That's a bold statement to make.
Hey, it's a question.
I mean, they
What's
have
the statement?
Godzilla.
I don't
That's
think
kind
it
of...
was. What was your story, Colin?
So I know a thing about that strike was the captain of that submarine intentionally picked that oil refinery to shell, not because it was a target that they wanted to hit especially badly, but because a few years prior he had visited that oil refinery as like a businessman before the war had started, and he fell in some bushes and everybody laughed at him and refused to help him out, and so he just wanted petty revenge on the people that worked at the oil field.
Oh, that's funny.
Yep. So
Sounds like an alien thing to do.
yeah, it's a pretty alien thing to do. But that said, if I fell in the bushes and you just laughed at me and didn't help, I mean, we wouldn't be friends after that.
Also, why would you just watch somebody struggling in a bush and just sit there and laugh
Yeah.
at them? Such a
I-
terrible thing to
Yeah.
do.
And it just makes this story even more like, oh, I'm a little
Yeah.
embarrassing.
Oh.
But no, a lot of good for pop culture came out of it, I guess, with just
Yeah.
bringing up the whole alien craze, and it did some good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a whole huge set of memes in American pop culture
Yeah.
for the last almost 100 years now.
And we thought fake news was a new thing.
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
But yeah, I wonder like who, because it doesn't say, at least I don't think, but like who thought that like, let's just put a UFO in this picture, like publish it and see what happens.
Probably the marketers. They're like, you know what would sell a lot of magazines?
Mhm.
A UFO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like a clickbait YouTube thumbnail before YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But like they were like the trendsetters basically, because before that time, like it wasn't a big thing to like talk about UFOs up in the sky. So
Yeah.
Now it's mainstream.
yeah.
Yeah. Now everybody knows about it. Yeah.
But yeah, so the thing is like this debate of like alien life is now leading farther away from science fiction. With the recent discoveries. Have you guys heard of the James Webb telescope?
Yes, ma'am.
A
Yeah.
little bit, yeah.
So I think this is really cool. So the JWST is the space telescope, and it was launched back in December 25th, actually, so on Christmas of 2021. And this was basically launched to study the early universe and deep space and distant worlds. And one of these distant worlds, planets, is that they are studying is 124 light years away from Earth. And so you can imagine how far that is. It's way in the past.
It's a bit. It's
Just
a bit.
yeah.
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 A hop skip away. And so the planet is called K218b. And this planet actually exists in the habitable zone, just like our planet. And this just means that it's basically a good distance enough from its star to have water, or the possibility of having water. And the James Webb Space Telescope found traces of hydrogen, carbon dioxide, and methane in its atmosphere. But what's really interesting is that it also found traces of dimethyl sulfide and dimethyl disulfide, which is a molecule produced only by organisms here on Earth, like phytoplankton and algae. So
Crazy.
this is basically saying that like, if there are these molecules in this planet, then there is a possibility that there is some sort of organism creating that molecule. Although it is space, that like many light years away, so it could react differently or be caused by a different thing. But it's still a very high percentage of like, wow, like this could be a possibility. And it's yet to be peer reviewed, and like they're still studying it further, but they said it's like a 99.7% accuracy, and they call it like a 3 sigma thing, but like it's pretty accurate. But for them to like for 100% be sure that there is some sort of like alien life, meaning an organism that is creating this molecule in that planet, it would have to be like 99.99999%. So that's why they're like studying it further, just to see if it is.
Yeah.
Or if it's not.
May as well learn everything you can.
But yeah, I thought like this was just really cool, because for me, like when I think of aliens, like at first I just think of like little organisms, and so like this is more like leaning towards it. I'm like, oh, I think I was right. But yeah, who knows? We'll see what they come up with, because they said that, like, they're still studying it, and so it might be like a year or two before they can get any like solid evidence and stuff.
Mm.
But yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that with the first thing you think of when you think of aliens is like little organisms and stuff. And it made me wonder what everybody else thinks, because I know personally, my first thought of aliens would be like you get abducted into a ship and probed. What's everybody else's first thoughts?
Well, I hope for a probeless life, but you know. But
I wasn't welcoming it. I'm just saying that's my first thought.
I just fingers crossed. I don't... But no, I think like if we do encounter aliens, they won't look like anything we've conceived of. I think. Have you guys seen The Arrival?
No.
No.
Oh, that's a good one. Not the
yeah.
Charlie Sheen one, the other one.
Yeah, I think I have.
And like the aliens are these giant like things, like they have a million little fingers on them and stuff, but it's not humanoid, and I don't think we would encounter humanoid aliens. I think that's very unlikely.
I just feel like if aliens were going to come and study us, they probably wouldn't go for a probe first, just because that's how much you're going to learn from that. You're not going to learn a lot. Okay. They're probably going to study other things. Tim's got his alien.
Yeah, he can tell us. We have an alien right here.
What do his hands look like?
These look like probing hands.
Yeah, those are good for probing.
Yeah, I do agree though. I don't think that aliens would be like super humanoid. I think the likelihood of that is probably pretty small.
Yeah. I think we just kind of picture like what we know, and kind of go from there, but it might be like something like we can't even like think of, like, or like comprehend of like what they could look like or be like. So
yeah.
And they might not even be like things that see light the way we see it, or just be any kind of different being than us, just totally different style of organism.
Because like I do picture, like, I don't know, I'm not saying that like I do believe it, but I kind of want to, like, I do, like, there's no way that we're like the only ones out there, so like there's got to be something out in space, but whether that's like an actual like civilization like us, when we were first starting out as humans, like maybe, but it could just, like I said before, like it could just be something like completely out of our scope of mind, like we couldn't even think of as humans, so.
Yeah, exactly.
I think there might be more things like us out there, but I don't think anything that would be coming to physically visit us would be like us, because as complex and amazing we are, we're still like very stupid meatbags.
Yeah.
We are not very durable. We break really easily. If you put us 5 degrees too cold, we croak. We are not very resilient. So something that's able to come up with a way to travel that far in space probably has a bigger brain than us, probably smarter than us. I think whatever has the ability to reach us is so far beyond us. I don't want anything to do with them. I'm like, you are too smart. Stay away from me. Just let me be dumb on my rock. Leave me alone.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, probing doesn't really make sense. I feel like they could just like look at us and like do like a whole analysis, so.
Yeah. I'm like, how much are you gonna learn from a butt? It's a butt.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about like all those reports of people that say that they have been abducted by aliens? And
well, some of them I think the people genuinely believe it, but I think there's definitely a few of them that people just want attention. But yeah, I think probably most of the people that talk about probing probably just want attention.
Or they want to make an excuse for a poor Saturday night
gosh.
choices. So.
Yeah, that's distract from theirs.
I'm not going to say that it hasn't happened, but I think there's probably some other explanations like sleep paralysis, messing around with some psychedelics or, mind altering substances, we'll call them.
Yeah.
And then another part of me kind of thinks like, could it possibly be like human on human experimentation? Like, what's to say that somebody from like another human hasn't just picked them up and run some experiments on them while wearing a funny mask and thrown them back in bed?
Yeah. Yeah. Got them all drugged up.
Yeah.
All they see is little lights in and out, like when you go into surgery.
Yeah. And maybe they're using them as drug mules, and that's why all the probing, putting some cocaine up there.
I think we just figured it out.
Yeah, I think that's the solution.
Yeah.
Case solved.
Maybe sleepwalking.
It was the drugs again.
Because a lot of people say that they end up like in the middle of like the woods or something, and like maybe you were just sleepwalking and had a very vivid dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they have they put a certain value on our lives, like they don't want to hurt us per se, so they would put us back. But I'm like, if you want to run experiments on us, why would you not experiment on us and just not put us back? But maybe they did. Maybe there's lots of humans that went missing and never came back, and that's where they are. They're with aliens. But like, why would you pick somebody up, probe them, and put them back? That doesn't
maybe putting stuff in you, like when we do to animals, right? You put trackers on them and track their migrations and stuff like that. Maybe they're doing that to us.
Oh, butt tags.
Yeah.
That way we'll never find it.
Yeah.
Try removing this. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a great thought. Tag and release. Joan says tag and release. I love that.
Yeah, Joan said that we would be like their little pets.
Yeah.
And she'd be okay with that if she didn't have to worry about a mortgage. Same.
Yeah.
The good thing is I think most of the people on this show are safe, because I remember our conversation about Taco Bell. Ain't no way no tag staying in there.
Yeah, no, not for long anyway. Not for long.
Yep. Marked safe from alien tag and release.
Hey, they could be tagging
Taco
other
Bell.
places.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I would like to say right now, drop in the comments if you think aliens are just tagging and releasing us. And would you be okay with being an alien pet if you didn't have to pay bills? If they're nice.
Yeah, if they're nice. Why
So
not?
being an alien pet here on
heck-
Earth, or being taken out to space and being a pet pet.
Yeah.
I think they'd have to keep us here because like I said, we're very fragile things. And if they tried to take us anywhere else, I think that we'd just croak.
Yeah. Or maybe it's like just putting like a firefly in a jar. They have to poke holes for us in some way. Like, their atmosphere is probably toxic, so they got to supply us with a little bit of, maybe we're in a tank.
Mist it every now and then.
Yeah.
Keeping it human.
Yeah. Yeah, tap on the side of it.
We're like those really, really high maintenance pets. Like, this is my dog. She's 17 years old. She's on a raw food diet. If you look at her the wrong way, she's going to keel over.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just complicated pets for the wealthy aliens that can afford our maintenance.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's an interesting story, though, Battle of Los Angeles.
Yeah, I did like the story quite a lot. It was, and avoid that movie. That movie is just awful. it doesn't even have an ending. They just like got bored making it
Oh.
halfway through, and just
I
that's
hate
it.
movies like that.
Yeah.
Is it actually like during World War II times, or is it just a?
No, it's set in modern times, and it's like an actual alien invasion of Los Angeles. Yeah. Yep. Not a good film. But it does have Turk from Scrubs in it, so that's a plus.
Yeah, I was gonna ask Maria, is that just kind of where it ends? Like nothing else really happened?
Yeah, pretty much. That's where it ends. It's just a lot of like the main arguments was just people trying to explain like why they did what they did and blaming their higher up, saying like these were the orders that we had to follow, and just kind of like trying to save face for the sake of the country during like the war. And they just didn't want to like, I guess, look bad. But with that picture, that's where also like other people, like civilians, just started speculating and having rumors of it actually being like aliens that visited them. And from there it just took off with like people making up theories and trying to guess of like what actually happened. Maybe the government is just trying to hide the fact of like what they were really shooting at, because really, if it was just like the civilians, like they were just looking out like at a dark sky and only seeing the searchlights, maybe they couldn't have seen like much else in the sky. And the ones that were like really looking up were the army and just people at all of those bases, and maybe they did see something that they just didn't want other people to know. But
I have a related question. Does anybody in this group or in the live chat or after the fact watching this remember it was a few years ago, there were those giant flying silver orbs in the sky, and the government said that they were weather balloons, but they were very obviously not weather balloons. Like the speed in which they were flying and the maneuvers that they were making was not a weather balloon.
I remember that. Like they were making like shapes, kind of like,
yeah,
like it was like
the ones
type.
the ones I saw, it was like all over for maybe a week, and then it just disappeared. But they were perfect spheres. They were silver, and they would fly through the air faster than a jet. I mean, they would just go right across the sky so fast. A perfect sphere. And the government said, oh, they're just weather balloons. And then they had a video. They claimed they were from China. And then they had a video of one of our jets shooting one down. But the one that they shot down did not match all of the other videos of these spheres. And they're like, see, we shot one down. It's just a weather balloon. No big deal. But if you try and look up footage of that now, I've tried to look up footage and I can't find any. And it was all over the news. It was all over social media. But if you try and find video of it now, you can't. I'll see if I can find some. But that correlation to me is kind of interesting, how the government was like, it's weather balloons. And they said this same thing a couple years ago when whatever it was very obviously not a balloon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying as well, that a lot of like the common theory to just brush it off is saying it's weather balloons because they're big and shiny silver. But yeah, a lot of the like sightings that have been documented by people, like you can say it's weather balloons, but like something about the way that it moves and like the speed, like Kay said, it's just like it's very different from what a weather balloon behaves like in the sky.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty fair to say don't 100% trust what the government tells us.
Yeah. I saw a comedian the other day that he goes, you need to believe at least a couple of conspiracy theories because the government's in charge of everybody in the country, and he's in charge of just his son. This comedian said this, and he goes, I'm in charge of just my son, and I lie to him all the time. So like, if you're in charge of everybody, there's probably more than a few lies out there. So you may as well not trust everything. Take everything with a grain of salt.
I think it's healthy to not believe anything.
Yeah,
like
skepticism.
Question everything. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Believe it after you do your research or what you feel, but
yeah,
always go into it with an open mind and learn about it.
Exactly.
And that goes for both sides.
Exactly.
Yep.
Just learn.
Yep.
What about like crop circles? Do you guys think that that's also like actually connected to aliens and UFOs, or could it just be something else? Because in like, for example, South America, there's also a lot of like UFO sightings, and Peru is like famous for those. Like they're not crop circles, but they're like images of things like on the ground, and a lot of people say that it was created by aliens like many years ago.
Well, wasn't that the one guy? Didn't he confess to doing like most of the ones in England? Like he and a friend would just go around with a 2x4 and just flatten crops at night, and just wait to see what the newspaper said the next day.
Yeah, there have been some that have been proven where people have come forward, but I don't know if that's true for all of them.
Yeah, because like the ones like there's some in Peru that like people say was aliens, but it was probably just like the natives back in the day. But they're like the geoliths. I don't know if you like,
the geoglyphs, the huge ones, like the Nazca lines.
So yeah, those are pretty cool. But like, I don't know. It's weird that like throughout the world in like different countries, the sightings are all like of similar things when it comes to like UFOs. Like they're seeing similar things and like saying that it is some round shiny object, or just moving up like speeds of light, or just blinking and then being there 1 second and gone the next. So
I think some things just happen on accident too, and people look at them and think something different, right? Maybe something happened on accident. They drug a log with their truck and it did this thing, and the next thing you know, oh, look at this.
Yeah,
like when somebody makes a pancake and it looks like Jesus, right?
Yeah,
well, what a coincidence.
Yep.
Or how there was a Cheeto on the sidewalk and it rained perfectly around the Cheeto.
Yeah.
What? I haven't seen that.
I think in order for me to believe that something may have possibly been done by aliens, I need it to be something where I'm like, I'm not sure that we can actually do that. Like, I'm not sure that we physically can do it, or we possess the technology to be able to do it. Like when you see some of these videos of crafts in the sky that are making maneuvers that I know we don't have planes that are capable of that. And I know if a person was flying that, their body wouldn't be able to withstand that maneuver just because of physics. So crop circles, I'm like, nah, no, we can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Also, like if it's able to like look like it's defying physics or something, then I'm like, okay, yeah, that's not us.
Yeah, that's something else.
Like, I know a big one is Stonehenge, saying that when that happened, we did not have the technology to do that, to be able to lift those stones with such precision. People also say it about the pyramids.
And like the Easter Island heads too.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we can carve a giant statue head. We can do that. But a pyramid?
Yeah. I believe they were made by people though. Yeah, just a lot of people that all decided they want to stack blocks.
I don't think they made that decision.
No, they did not make that decision themselves.
They were forced to.
They got voluntold.
Yeah.
You're gonna stack blocks today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today the blocks. Guess what? Tomorrow more blocks.
More blocks. We're going to need a lot of blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it really has to be something where I look at it and I'm like, I'm not sure we can do that. I'm really not sure we can do that.
Well, I think it would have been easier to believe like 10, 20 years ago than, or longer than today anyway. Just with technology the way it is, you can manipulate anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like now it's just going to be harder to like be amazed by like a video footage because there's AI now. So anything could be hoaxed.
Yeah.
Some of the AI footage that's coming out, I'm like, that's pretty convincing. Like, I'm able to catch that. But I see so many posts on Facebook that are very obviously AI. And then in the comments, there's all of these older people that are like, God bless.
Yeah.
I know and I'm like, no, Ethel, that's not.
You got to think though, as quickly as it's gotten this good, the next year it's probably going to be indistinguishable, right?
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah, it's not far off.
Yeah, so who's going to take over, the aliens or AI?
Maybe the aliens are making the AI.
The one we know exists right now for sure, right? 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird how like there's so many like movies and stories of like AI taking over and we're just like heading in that direction. Like, no big deal. It's cool.
Yeah. Terminator's coming, but yeah.
iRobot, like Tesla is coming up with I think it's like $20,000 and you can have an AI helper. I'm like, okay, yeah. I've seen iRobot. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's good. It's crazy.
I'm not gonna lie, I love that my car drives itself.
I will say I am concerned a little bit about the future of paranormal and ghost hunting and things like that, because one video I did see this weekend, people had caught it as AI, but it was supposedly a photo of a mimic that was transforming from a man into a dog right before a child walked into the room. And it was some of the most realistic footage I've ever seen. But what people picked out was right as the guy transformed, he went from like 5 to 7 fingers on one hand, which is a huge tell because AI does not do hands well.
Fingers.
Yeah.
But the first time I watched it, I was like, I'm not believing what I'm seeing, but that was actually extremely impressive footage. And I don't think we're that far away from people being able to use AI to fake cryptids and other paranormal footage.
Yeah.
It'll be better than the little like macrame or whatever. Did you guys see those little like aliens that Mexico like showed like their government and like it looks like paper mache, like it just looks like a little school project.
Yeah.
Like they made it seem like it was so real, like, oh, it's legit, the government's showing it. It's like, oh
they made it over a weekend.
I do get such a kick though out of remembering 2020. It was like March of 2020 and the whole world was going into a hard lockdown. We're so distracted. Like, are we going to survive? Are we going to be able to find food? Are we going to be able to find toilet paper? There's so much on our minds. And right at that time, our government and I think 2 other governments were like, hey, actually aliens are real. And everyone was so distracted that most people don't even remember it. And anybody who does remember it was like, I have bigger things to worry about. I need toilet paper, so who cares?
A lot of people were also saying that like that was a good way of like revealing it to us, like because we would just brush it off and not think that it's real or anything. So maybe they did already tell us that it is true, but we're just
I tell people that I'm like, our government admitted that aliens were real and they released footage in 2020 right at the start of lockdown, and so many people are like, They did? Like, yes, they did. They did do that.
And they were just smart enough to know that, like, the people, like, they would just think, like, it's just some other hoax or just, oh, the government's just playing with us. I don't know. So
The big question is, what does The Simpsons say about aliens?
Hanging Kodos.
That's the big question.
Yeah.
What do The Simpsons say? How do you feel about aliens, Maria? Feel like, no, yeah, no.
I mean, yeah, I want it to be true, but like I've said, it for me, it wouldn't be like humanoid creatures similar to us. But who knows? Maybe they are similar to us. But I don't think that we would have any idea of them actually existing unless we have like more technology that can actually prove it. But if they are here, then they're either hiding very well, most likely underwater. I don't know. But I don't know. I don't think that they have actually been here. And if they have, it was just a long, long time ago. I don't know, because everything else just doesn't seem realistic to me. Maybe the UFOs, like the lights in the sky and stuff, maybe, but I don't know. Like, I feel like if they had come here, then we would know for sure. Like, there would be like more signs, more evidence, unless it's just being hidden by the government. But I don't know. I kind of have hopes for like this new discovery and stuff from NASA. So
yeah.
Does anyone in here hope that aliens are not real? No?
Oh, I think we're all pretty pro-alien.
I would just rather they don't exist. It's just not a problem I want to deal with.
I'd be okay without them, but I think they already exist. So
yeah.
Yeah, I
can't say that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's life out there in the universe, but
Do I think they'll ever visit me? No.
Yeah, exactly. Are we interesting enough?
I'm fine with like a little amoeba, like 125 million light years away. Something that's smart enough to come to our planet. I'm okay without that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just want to chill on my rock. I want to pay my mortgage and die peacefully.
Yeah.
So if you see one coming, you're gonna shoot at it.
Yeah, probably. That's what I like to do.
what if they're like
pretend it's a balloon?
What if they're docile though? Like they're just curious. They don't really mean any harm. They're just, you know.
Anything that has been able to supposedly go without our detection or has traveled that far, in my mind, is extremely superior to us. And just because they are docile doesn't necessarily mean that they would always be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes, you know, like in some of the AI movies, the AI will step in not to do harm, but because they see us doing harm.
Mm-hmm.
And it causes us harm to try and keep us from harming ourselves.
Yeah.
And
as
it could be like,
zeroth law.
Yeah. I'm worried about something like that. Like, you guys are threatening to nuke each other. Obviously, somebody needs to do something, and I don't know what that something would be. So, I'm fine with an amoeba. Let me die on my rock. Yeah.
An amoeba can cause necrosis, though, but...
Yeah, there you go.
It's a million light years away. It's okay.
Yeah, but who knows? Maybe there's like, I mean, if there are aliens out there, and there's probably like multiple different types, then like maybe there's some that are like more animalistic and not as like humanoid thinking. They're probably more like, if something seems harmful or dangerous, they'll just attack, you know. So there's also that possibility.
Right.
they may not follow our thought processes at all.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
it may not follow thought processes of any organism on
Yeah.
Earth. So
Yeah.
something to be
And
prepared for.
they might also see us doing what we're doing to the Earth and decide that, we're dangerous to space, we're dangerous to something, it's better just to not have us.
Mm.
And as Joan pointed out, and I would worry about this as well, she says, docile or not, we would probably have our immune systems wrecked by them.
Yeah.
Which is
for
something
sure.
else I worry about. So.
But
leave my rock alone. Yeah, there's there's a lot to have anxiety about, and I'm an anxious little meat sack. I just want to be left alone.
I do like thinking about it though, just wondering, like, what's out there.
Mhm.
Just a possibility.
Yeah, I like to as well.
Yes. We're coming up on the hour, so would you guys like to do final thoughts?
Sure.
Okay, I can go last. I can play Frank.
Okay. Well, I like the Battle of Los Angeles story. It's one of those things that, regardless of what you believe, it's a fun, interesting slice of American history. There's a lot of dark stuff happening during World War II, and I mean, admittedly, 5 people did die during the Battle of Los Angeles, but it's a fun little bright spot in the middle of an otherwise horrible chunk of world history, and that thanks for doing a topic about it.
Yeah, I thought it was super fun too, and it brought back some good childhood memories for me. Not because I was around way back then, but because I grew up poor. So for 4th of July, we used to shoot the guns in the sky to see the flames come out the end. That was my fireworks. So yeah, good story.
Nice. Yeah, just don't go shooting at balloons in the sky. And yeah, I agree with Colin. It's more of a lighthearted story that comes from World War II. So, and also just oh gosh, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Shoot, I'm sorry, guys.
I lost mine as well. I'm trying to come up with something. I had something good and I forgot it.
I didn't mean to throw you guys off with my childhood memories.
I'm just glad I'm not the only one.
Good times.
Yeah, lots of fun.
You can pass if you want.
Yeah, I might think of it again.
Okay. If you think of it, flag us down. Yeah, I did enjoy this topic. I really get a kick out of the fact that no matter how much we think we've evolved, when we see something scary that we don't know, we still have the exact same instinct to shoot stuff at it.
Yep.
Yeah. And I feel like I would be a very bougie alien pet. And moral of the story is I just want to live my life on the rock and in peace.
Yep.
If you want to do your own thing, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Did you
I
remember,
thought of something
Maria?
else, but
Okay, go for it.
yeah, like this could be like one of like the only things like that go down in the history books of like an actual possible battle between humans and aliens, and maybe it wasn't, but maybe it was. So
Yeah.
It's crazy to think
Mhm.
about.
Yeah, it is.
It is. As Frank would say, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for telling a friend. You can find us anywhere you would listen to podcasts. And if you are watching on YouTube, go ahead and drop us a comment of something interesting you thought during the show. And say hi to your mom for us and give her a big old alien kiss on the cheek. Have a good night, everybody.
Night, guys.